The rain had just stopped, leaving the glass windows of Café Lumina streaked with silver trails. Inside, the scent of roasted coffee beans and freshly baked croissants filled the air. But at one corner table near the window sat a man who seemed untouched by the warmth of it all. His name was Ethan Vale, a name whispered in boardrooms and business news channels, a self-made billionaire CEO known as much for his cold logic as for his impossible standards. Every employee in his company knew the rule: no excuses, no emotions. Yet here he was, checking his watch for the 5th time in 10 minutes, waiting for a blind date that wasn't showing up. His assistant had arranged it. "You've been alone too long, sir," she had said softly. But Ethan didn't believe in love, not after losing it once. 10 years ago, a car accident had taken his fiancée and unborn child, leaving behind a heart too scarred to trust again. Since then, life had been numbers, contracts, and silence. But tonight, something inside him whispered that maybe, just maybe, he could try again. Minutes passed. The chair across from him stayed empty. The laughter of couples nearby only deepened the hollow echo in his chest. He sighed, loosened his tie, and reached for his coat, ready to leave and lock his feelings back where they belonged. But just as he was about to stand up, the door burst open. A young woman stumbled inside, drenched, clutching a worn-out bag against her chest. Her shoes squelched with every step. People stared, but she didn't seem to care. She scanned the room anxiously, and then, to Ethan's shock, walked straight toward him. "Sorry I'm late," she said breathlessly, dropping her bag and sitting opposite him before he could react. Her voice was soft but trembling. Traffic was horrible and... "Oh no, did you wait long?" He blinked, stunned. For a moment, words escaped him. Then, almost out of instinct, he found himself saying, "Not long. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of unexpected encounters, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Journal." Stories like this one remind us that fate sometimes works in mysterious, beautiful ways. She smiled, a fragile, tired smile that somehow warmed the coldest corners of his heart. Her name was Mara Quinlan, though he didn't know it yet. Her clothes were plain, her hair damp, and her hands trembling slightly as she reached for the menu. "I didn't think you'd still be here," she said, nervously tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. "Honestly, I thought you'd give up and leave." Oh, Ethan studied her quietly. There was no makeup, no luxury perfume, just sincerity and exhaustion. She was nothing like the polished women he usually met at business events. "What would you like to order?" he asked, unsure what else to say. She hesitated, glancing at the prices. Her fingers tightened around the laminated sheet. "Maybe just a coffee." "Black. You can order whatever you like," he said flatly. Her eyes flicked up, startled. "Really? Thank you. But coffee's fine." They sat in silence for a while. Outside, the sun began breaking through the clouds, casting golden light across the table. She cupped her hands around the mug when it arrived, closing her eyes as if the warmth itself was a gift. That small gesture stirred something deep in him, a reminder of gratitude he hadn't felt in years. Finally, Ethan cleared his throat. "So," he said, "you're the one my assistant arranged this date with." Her eyes widened. "Your assistant," she repeated. "Wait, aren't you Mr. Turner?" He frowned. "No, Ethan Vale?" Her face drained of color. "Oh no," she whispered, covering her mouth. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I thought you were someone else." "This is a mistake. I shouldn't be here." She began gathering her things, panic rising. But Ethan, almost without thinking, said softly, "It's fine. Stay." She froze. He didn't know why he said it. Maybe it was because she looked so small, so lost, like she hadn't been shown kindness in a long time. Maybe because something in her eyes reminded him of himself, someone fighting to survive another day. So she stayed. And over that mistaken coffee, something rare began to unfold. She told him about her life bit by bit. Not everything, just pieces that slipped through her careful silence. She worked 2 jobs, one as a cleaner and another at a local bookstore. She'd been taking care of her little brother since their parents died. "Some days I can barely afford groceries," she admitted with a forced laugh. "But at least he's still in school. That's all that matters." Ethan listened without interrupting. It had been years since he'd truly listened to anyone. Her voice carried warmth, pain, and resilience all at once. For the first time, his world of steel and glass cracked open, revealing something soft underneath. He found himself wanting to help her, though he didn't know how. Not with money, That felt too easy, but with time, presence, and understanding, she didn't treat him like a CEO. She treated him like a man, just another human sitting across from her. And in that simplicity, he found peace. Days passed after their accidental meeting, yet Ethan couldn't stop thinking about Mara. The way she smiled despite everything, the way she spoke of her dreams with trembling hope. He returned to the cafe the next afternoon, half expecting her to walk in again. She didn't. But 3 days later, fate intervened once more. As his driver slowed at a red light, Ethan spotted her on the sidewalk, carrying heavy grocery bags in the heat. Without hesitation, he stepped out of the car. "Mara," he called. She turned, startled, and then blushed deeply. "Mr. Vale." "You. Let me help," he said simply. She shook her head. "You don't have to. I can manage." But when one of the bags tore open, spilling apples onto the street, he smiled faintly and helped gather them. They both laughed, and for the first time, Ethan felt something he hadn't in years: connection. They began meeting often, sometimes at the cafe, sometimes in the park. He told her things he'd never told anyone, not even his therapist, about the accident, the grief, the loneliness. She listened quietly, never judging, never pitying. In return, she told him about her struggles, how she sometimes skipped meals so her brother could eat, how she dreamed of becoming a teacher but couldn't afford college. One day, as they sat beneath a tree in the afternoon sun, she said softly, "You remind me of winter." He raised an eyebrow. "Winter?" "Yes." She smiled faintly. "Cold still, a little lonely. But when the snow melts, everything starts to grow again." That night, Ethan couldn't sleep. Her words echoed in his mind. When the snow melts, he realized that Mara wasn't just a chance encounter. She was the thaw to his frozen soul. He began to change, not dramatically, but quietly. He started visiting his company's staff cafeteria, sitting with employees, listening to their problems. He donated to shelters anonymously. He even reopened an old scholarship program his father had once started, now naming it after Mara's late parents. But he didn't tell her. He didn't want gratitude. He just wanted her to see that kindness could spread, even from broken people. Then came the day that nearly tore them apart. Mara found out who he really was. Not just a man named Ethan, but Ethan Vale, the billionaire CEO who owned half the city's skyline. She saw his name on a newspaper headline while cleaning a corporate office. Her heart sank. That evening, when he came to meet her, she avoided his eyes. "Why didn't you tell me?" she asked quietly. "Was this all a game to you?" He shook his head, pain flashing across his face. "No, I just wanted you to know me for me, not my name." Tears filled her eyes. "Do you know what it feels like to think someone understands you, only to realize they belong to a world you'll never fit into?" "Mara, you fit into mine more than anyone ever has," he said softly. But she couldn't believe it then. She walked away, leaving him standing in the fading daylight, the world suddenly colder again. Weeks passed. He threw himself into work, but nothing felt right. Every success seemed hollow, every silence heavier, until one morning, he received a letter, handwritten, slightly smudged. It was from Mara. "I shouldn't have judged you," it read. "You were kind to me when you didn't have to be. I was scared that kindness like yours couldn't be real, but I was wrong. Thank you for showing me that it can be." At the bottom, a note: "If you ever find it in your heart to forgive me, I'll be at Cafe Lumina at noon." Ethan didn't waste a second. He ran, literally ran, to the cafe where it all began. And when he pushed open the door, there she was, sitting at the same corner table, smiling nervously through tears. He walked up slowly, afraid she might disappear. "You came back," she whispered. "I never left," he said. In that moment, surrounded by the quiet chatter of strangers and the golden light streaming through the windows, the cold CEO finally found warmth again. Not in wealth, not in success, but in a girl who sat down by mistake and taught him what love truly means. Months later, the cafe became their place. She finished her degree with his quiet support, refusing charity but accepting opportunity. He learned to laugh again, to live without the shadow of the past defining him. Together, they built something greater than a business empire, a life filled with kindness, forgiveness, and second chances. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to Kindness Journal. Let's spread love and hope, one story at a time.